My name is Lauren, and I've always been pulled toward the stories that make your heart race, the ones that linger in the quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts. I run a YouTube channel where I unravel true horror stories, real events, so chilling they leave you questioning what's hiding in the shadows. I've explored murders, possessions, and cursed places, but there's one tale that's burrowed deeper into my mind than most. A story of a college dorm room that's become a legend for all the wrong reasons. It's the haunting of Room 428 at Ohio University's Wilson Hall, a place where the walls seem to whisper and the past refuses to stay buried. This is the haunting of Room 428, a true paranormal nightmare, and it's going to grip you until the very last word. I first heard about Room 428 while scrolling through a Reddit thread late at night, one of those rabbit holes where people share their creepiest experiences. A user, claiming to be an Ohio University alum, posted about a dorm room so terrifying it was sealed off, forbidden to students. The details were vague but chilling. Strange noises, shadowy figures, a feeling of being watched. I brushed it off as campus folklore, the kind of ghost story freshmen tell to scare each other. But the more I dug, the more I realized this wasn't just a tale. It was real, rooted in documented incidents, student testimonies, and a history that stretches back decades. Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, is one of the oldest public universities in the US, founded in 1804 with a campus steeped in tradition and secrets. Wilson Hall, a red brick residence hall, sits at its heart, and Room 428 is its darkest chapter. Let me take you back to the beginning, to Athens in the late 1970s, when the story of Room 428 started to take shape. Athens is a small town nestled in the rolling hills of southeastern Ohio, surrounded by dense forests and winding rivers. The university is its lifeblood, drawing thousands of students with its picturesque campus and vibrant student life. Wilson Hall, built in 1965, was a modern dorm at the time, housing hundreds of undergraduates in its 4 stories. Room 428, on the 4th floor, was unremarkable. A standard double with twin beds, wooden desks, and a window overlooking the Hocking River. Students moved in and out, unaware of the darkness that would soon define it. But something about that room, or the land it stood on, was different, like a stain that wouldn't wash out. The first whispers of trouble came in 1979, when 2 freshmen, Sarah and Emily, were assigned to Room 428. They were typical college kids, excited for their first year, dreaming of parties and new friendships. But from their first night, the room felt wrong. Sarah later told friends the air was heavy, like breathing through a wet cloth. Emily noticed the closet door creaking open, even when latched. They laughed it off, blaming nerves. But the unease grew. At night, they'd hear scratching, faint but persistent, like nails dragging across wood. It seemed to come from the walls, moving from one side of the room to the other. They checked for mice, but found nothing. Then the footsteps started, heavy, deliberate, pacing the floor after midnight. Sarah swore she saw a shadow, tall and formless, standing at the foot of her bed. But when she screamed, it vanished. Emily, more skeptical, tried to stay rational, but even she couldn't explain the cold spots. They'd wake to find the room freezing, their breath visible, despite the radiator blasting. One morning, Sarah found her textbooks scattered across the floor, pages torn, though the door was locked. Emily's mirror cracked, a jagged line splitting her reflection. They reported it to their resident assistant, a senior named Mike, who inspected the room but found no signs of a break-in. He suggested they were stressed, maybe homesick, but his eyes lingered on the closet, as if he sensed something too. The girls started sleeping with the lights on, their grades slipping as fear took over. By October, they requested a room change, citing weird vibes. The housing office, used to freshman complaints, reassigned them, and room 428 sat empty for the rest of the semester. The next year, 1980, 2 new students, Brian and Tom, moved in. They were juniors, laid-back guys who didn't believe in ghost stories. But within days, they noticed the same things: scratching, footsteps, the oppressive cold. Brian, a photography major, set up a Polaroid camera to capture anything unusual. One night, he woke to the sound of whispering, soft and unintelligible, like a conversation just out of reach. He grabbed his camera and snapped a photo of the room. When it developed, he froze. The image showed a faint figure, a woman in a long dress, her face blurred, standing by the window. Tom, half asleep, laughed it off as a trick of the light, but Brian was shaken. The next day, his camera was broken, the lens shattered. They didn't last a month, moving out after Tom woke to find his bed shaking, as if someone were kicking it from below. By 1981, room 428 was gaining a reputation. Students called it the haunted room, swapping stories in the dining hall. Some said it was cursed, tied to the land's history. Athens was built on ancient Native American grounds, and Wilson Hall sat near a cemetery, one of 5 forming a pentagram around the campus, according to local legend. Others whispered about a student who died there, though no records confirmed it. The university dismissed the rumors, but housing staff noticed a pattern. No one stayed in 428 for long. In 1982, a senior named Rachel, a psychology major, decided to test the stories. She was skeptical, armed with a notebook to document mass hysteria. She moved in alone, determined to debunk the myths. Rachel's first week was quiet, but then the disturbances began. Her radio would turn on at 3 a.m., blaring static. Her clothes, neatly folded, were found strewn across the floor. She heard knocking, rhythmic and insistent, from inside the walls. She wrote in her journal, "It feels like the room is watching me." One night, she woke to a pressure on her chest, like hands pressing down. She couldn't move, couldn't scream, her body paralyzed as a shadow loomed over her. When it released her, she gasped, her skin clammy. The next morning, she found marks on her arms, red like burns in the shape of fingers. Rachel the skeptic was done. She moved out, her journal left behind, later found by a custodian. Its final entry read, "This isn't hysteria. It's real." The university couldn't ignore it anymore. In 1983, they brought in a local priest, Father John, to bless room 428. He arrived with holy water and a crucifix, expecting a routine ritual. But as he prayed, the room grew cold, the air thick with a sulfurous smell. The crucifix fell from his hand, cracking on the floor. He heard a laugh, low and guttural, from the closet. Father John finished the blessing, his voice trembling, and advised the university to lock the room. They did, sealing the door with a deadbolt, marking it storage to deter curiosity. But the stories didn't stop. Students on the 4th floor reported noises, screams, bangs, whispers, coming from 428, even though it was empty. Some saw a woman's face in the window, her eyes hollow, staring down at the quad. In 1985, a maintenance worker, Carl, was sent to check the room's pipes after a leak on the floor below. He unlocked the door, the first to enter in years, and found the room untouched, bed stripped, desks dusty, but the air heavy, like a storm was brewing. As he worked, his flashlight flickered, then died. He heard a voice, soft and female, say, "Get out." He turned, but no one was there. His tools scattered, flying across the room. Carl ran, quitting his job the next day. He told co-workers the room felt alive, like it hated him. The university reinforced the lock, posting a "no entry" sign, but it only fueled the legend. Fraternities dared pledges to sneak in, though few succeeded. The door, some said, wouldn't budge, even with the key. By the late 1980s, room 428 was infamous. Students avoided the fourth floor, claiming headaches or nausea near the door. Professors too shared stories. Dr. Helen Carter, a history professor, taught a class on local folklore and interviewed former residents of 428. She compiled accounts of a female figure, often seen near the window, sometimes crying, sometimes screaming. Carter theorized the spirit was tied to a tragedy, perhaps a student's death, though records were inconclusive. One story pointed to a woman named Laura, a 1970s student who'd practiced occult rituals, possibly in Wilson Hall. Laura's fate was unclear. Some said she dropped out, others whispered of suicide. But her name kept surfacing in student lore. In 1990, a paranormal investigator, David Reese, got permission to spend a night in room 428. Reese, a former cop turned ghost hunter, brought an EMF meter, a tape recorder, and a Polaroid camera. He entered at midnight, the room lit only by his lantern. The EMF spiked, though no electronics were nearby. His recorder captured whispers, faint but clear. "Leave. Now." At 2 a.m. he snapped a photo, later showing a misty shape by the closet, its edges forming a face. Reese felt a hand on his shoulder, cold and firm, but turned to find nothing. He left at dawn, his voice shaking in his report. "That room is not empty. Something wants it for itself." His findings, published in a local paper, cemented 428's reputation as one of America's most haunted dorm rooms. The university, tired of the attention, stopped commenting on room 428. By the 2000s, it was permanently sealed, the door painted to blend with the wall, the room number removed. Wilson Hall remained a dorm, but the fourth floor felt different, quieter, heavier. Students reported seeing lights flicker in 428's window, though no one could access it. In 2010, a janitor, Maria, claimed she heard singing, soft and mournful, while cleaning nearby. She quit, refusing to work nights. In 2015, a student, Alex, snuck to the door with friends, recording on his phone. The video, posted online, captured a faint knock from inside. Though the door was locked, the clip went viral, drawing ghost hunters to Athens, though the university barred entry. I've spent months researching room 428, tracking down alumni, scouring old yearbooks, even visiting Athens. I stood outside Wilson Hall, its brick facade deceptively normal, the river glinting in the distance. The fourth floor window, 428's window, felt like it was watching me, though the glass was dark. I spoke to a retired RA, Karen, who worked in Wilson Hall in the 1980s. She remembered the vibe of 428, how students avoided it, how she once heard a scream from inside, though it was locked. She believes it's haunted, not by one ghost, but by something older, tied to the land's past. Maybe the pentagram cemeteries, maybe something darker. What's in room 428? A restless spirit, like Laura, trapped by her own rituals? A demonic force, as some students claim, drawn to the campus's energy? Or just a legend, amplified by fear and imagination? The scratching, the shadows, the voices, dozens of witnesses, from freshmen to priests, swear it's real. Ohio University won't talk, but the stories keep growing, whispered in dorms, shared online. I've listened to Reese's tapes, watched Alex's video, read Rachel's journal, now archived in the university library. They all say the same thing. That room doesn't want you there. This is the haunting of room 428, and it's more than a ghost story. It's a warning. Some places hold on to their pain, their anger, their secrets. If you're at Ohio University, walking past Wilson Hall at night, look up at the 4th floor. See if the window's dark or if something's looking back. And if you hear scratching, don't open the door. On the Nightmare Archive, we chase the truth, no matter how terrifying. So, what's in your dorm? What's waiting when the lights go out? Sleep tight, because this nightmare is real, and it's closer than you think.